Hi, it's Hazel, and welcome to my channel, Hazel and Aka Design. I have, I'm getting tired of saying this, and I'm sure you're probably tired of hearing it. I have been going through my supplies, through my room, through storage systems of all sorts, to see what I have. Do I still want it? Am I still using it? Do I have plans? What needs to move along, and what should I be working on? So this is an 8x10 wood cradled panel, artist panel, Dollarama, $3. Now this was bought several years ago. I don't know if they still carry these or not, but 1 year, during the 10-year life of the Ukrainian festival that I coordinated, we had a make it and take it activity where people could pay a fee, get this cradle, get some decals, get the word welcome in Ukrainian, in Cyrillic, and get an instruction on making a wall hanging. Anyway, of course, in a situation like that, we have no idea how many takers there will be. It was being offered over 2 days, blah, blah, blah. Of course, there are no returns at a dollar store. So needless to say, the festival was stuck with quite a few surplus ones of these. So I felt that I could use them. So I bought, like I, paid for the cost of them and took the remainder of the inventory. So you will see these recurring. Now, I think they're going to be a great substrate for some mixed media work. I did this years ago, long before, well, I'm sure before the festival. And so what I had done here was paint it green. There might have been another color underneath, I don't know. I stenciled some kind of a grid design. I used that adhesive stuff for the drywall taping guys use. This is used over the connections where two sheets butt up together, and then they plaster it with that skim coat of stuff so that, the seams don't show once you paint your wall. This is a strip. Well, there are a couple or 3 pieces of fabric here. I still have a bunch of this fabric. It was a very kind of a homespun country kind of pattern, a floral, loose weave. You can see how nicely it fringes, as well as napkins that came from Dollar Tree, I'm pretty sure. So this has been hanging on a wall in the basement, and it's fine. It's fine. Another thing I did with these, get a set. Now, I don't know. I've never been diagnosed as being colorblind. But honestly, is this not kind of atrocious? Obviously, I painted the edges peach. I must have loved this scrapbooking paper. I fussy cut around all these flowers. And that's fine and dandy. But what in God's name was I thinking with that green in the background? So you can see, well, I'll try, I guess I'll keep them side by side. You might not see the whole thing, but here's a fleur-de-lis that I stamped in blue, blue, like where fleur-de-lis here, parts there and there. I've got some texture paste, I guess. Some raised, like, here's something raised. This looks like sandpaper. It isn't, but it looks like it. Like, oh my goodness, what? And I had these beautiful sponge text stamps, inspire, imagine, believe. There are probably 6 of them. Oh, here's another something, something. But is this not, the color, oh my goodness. It's gross. I mean, all of these surface colors are fine. But that blue and green underneath? Wrong, wrong, wrong green. If the green would have been like around these flowers, that could have worked. So I think what I'm going to do between now and the next time you see these, I'm going to gesso over this. Now it is going to obviously add a textural element. I guess or should I do it right now? Didn't really pull out a brush or the gesso, but I could. That doesn't take long. Maybe I should do that right now with you. I was going to show you another one of these that I have in progress that I think is going to be salvageable, but clearly this is not. No, honestly, I wasn't prepared to do this in front of you, so let me just quickly cover up some of this workspace. We'll do these one at a time, obviously. I must be losing my mind. And just, rather than have a gallon of gesso around, I have it in this jar, probably from, artichoke hearts. Ugh. So we are going to get some coverage going here. Now, I suppose I was planning to use a brush, but I could just as easily, but it won't fit in there. I was going to say I could just as easily use a palette knife, I guess. Maybe that would give better. It seems so thin. Sorry for the scraping, but and I didn't obviously sign and date it, so I have no idea how old this might be. Maybe I should just be trying to get rid of that green. And I mean, it's a good enough color on its own, but my goodness, not with that other, with whatever else is going on there. I guess I should have glued that down. I guess there will still be a chance. I guess I like the palette knife idea because it skids over the texture that's underneath and leaves some bald patches. And yet that blue and green combo, I love blue and green together, but not those. And sorry for the, we're sort of conditioned by society these days to just be in love with every single thing we or our children do. whether it's any good or not. And, you know, and say, oh, imperfect is the goal and blah, blah, blah. Well, sorry for that visceral reaction, but, you know, it's my work. If I think it's ugly, I can say so. And I hope it gives you the courage to say the same thing if you encounter ugliness in anything you've done. Whoopsie, my plastic doohickey is falling down here. I just got gesso on my other hand. Sorry. Okay. I just wanted to knock back the rest of this green here. Now, honestly, is this not already better than this? And, you know, I'm talking about my own stuff here. If you agree with me that this was pretty ugly, you can say so in the comments. I'm not going to be hurt or offended because I said it first. Ay, ay, ay. Much better. So glad I did this. I'm not going to worry about the peachy color on the side. Okay, and the beauty of this is that it dries quickly, especially when you just are sort of doing a skim coat. Again, I find myself needing to apologize for the sound of the tractor because the snow removal odyssey continues. My sister lives in town 5 miles away, so I guess my husband talked to her. Whoops, sorry, that's loud. Talked to her and said, you need me to come and, you know, do some snow removal for you. Because really, in town, you know, when your neighbor is, you know, a stone's throw away or closer, you you run out of space to put the snow. So I think and again, we're all very cognizant of the fact that it's just, you know, the end of December. We still have a lot of winter ahead of us. So I think the decision, if I heard and understood correctly, is that at some point, before we leave for Hawaii, oh my God, before we leave for Mexico, he will get to town and do that. Now, if you can imagine driving down the highway, secondary highway, with a tractor, slow moving tractor. Oh, brother. Anyway, so now he'll have to find time to do that. Today is Sunday, the 20, I don't know what day it is. 20, could it be the 29th? No, 28th. It's hard. It's a little bit like a snowplow blade. It's hard to make contact with everything when the surface underneath is not entirely flat. But of course, that, I think, is the beauty here. Now, let's cover this up. because there is, you know, that teal is so strong, that might be the color direction I have to go through next. Like, rather than fight what's there, work with it. Okay. So much better. Okay, let me wipe this off. Cover this up. Check the time. And we probably still have time to do what I intended to do. Excuse me. With the final frame. Oh, we're only at 60 minutes. Easy peasy. Okay, I'm moving these guys out of the way. Onto the floor. Yeah, so much better. Okay, we don't need this brush. Okay, so again, because this is so many years ago, I have no idea. Where did I lose those things? Oh, right here. I have no idea what is underneath. So, another wooden cradle. I don't know whether you can tell or not, but there are raised leaves. So I'm thinking that maybe I stenciled, like put modeling paste through a stencil. I don't. Oh, see, there's some napkin there. Huh. That's excuse me. That's the same napkin in that that I showed you on that green panel. Anyway, clearly it's been painted over with some green and with some lilac-y, mauvey colors. So this piece, well, this is actually two pieces here. This was the design around a desktop calendar, a desk pad calendar. And because I loved, and that's partly why I bought it, I'm sure, because I love the color and the design. So these are other pieces that I salvaged. So the calendar pad would have been about yay big, I guess. So when I had this out earlier in the day, I was wondering, okay, what now? And at first, now I have no idea what I intended to do with that, but clearly that's twice as wide as any of these at the widest point. So, and I also see I didn't fussy cut as well around these pieces as I did around these subsequent ones. But again, maybe no one would notice. So then I, for a moment, played with the idea of just turning this into a frame, sort of around, you know, obviously make it fit, but I should do it this way so you can see what's going on. So just pretend that this was glued down. You know, there's enough clearly to go around. Pretend that it goes around on that side as well. And then I thought, okay, so big, hairy deal. What does that get me? And I thought that's a little too, you know, grade 1. So I don't like that. So what I started doing, because I have been fussy cutting flowers for years now and not using very many, I looked through my giant 3-inch binder of fussy cut images and came across these Wallies. Now, if you've ever seen these in a thrift store, you know that they come in packages, different designs. I've had pansies, cherubs, hydrangea, and who knows what else. So we know that hydrangeas grow, like the blossoms are just, oh my goodness, just good enough to eat. They're so beautiful. This is not the greatest version of a hydrangea one's ever seen. However, fear not, it could be improved. So I was thinking, well, what would happen if I just, and I might cut the leaves off, you know, because we know that the head of the plant is very much a big clump of these smaller blossoms. Each of these heads is gigantic, and altogether it's a gigantic thing. Now, I wouldn't make it like a pyramid because that's not good design, but maybe what I could do is something, you know, I'd offset this to the side, or I didn't quite figure that part out, but you can see how this is more interesting than what I just showed you. Plus, I brought out another one just in case I have to cut and, you know, augment. I'm thinking that I would just leave this thing at the bottom. It's probably not hurting anything. Oh, you know what? What would happen if this kind of, you know, just poked out here and there? I should figure out how long one of these is and then I'm just going to tear it, but that would be foolish. Let me cut it and see. I don't know. I'm just grasping at straws here. Grasping at straws. This has possibilities, I would say, and the reason it does is because it's narrower than this. And let's get another long piece from here. What if there was another piece right there? I don't mind that at all. At all. Okay, this is the plan, because honestly, this is probably 5 years old. We're not going to fool around with turning this into my life's work. Get these guys off. Glue down this top piece. I'm going to turn it so I can see what I'm doing. Oh, I did run it down the side, so I'll do the same here. You know what? Rather than, I should probably use matte medium. Oh, can I find it though? Oh, that's clear gesso. Here it is. Oh, and this bottle is heavier because I found that I have a great big one. Find a nice soft brush. I have a big one, so I filled this little guy. Okay, so for whatever reason, I left a space along there, which I see is not very level, or even, I mean. So let's just, I think this one I'll do flush just because it's easier. more. With all of my art supplies, and maybe it's false economy sometimes, but honestly, with all of my art supplies, I want it to be, I want to use the least I can get away with. So I'm not going to put on more medium than I need, because what point is there to that? And this too dries pretty quickly, so let's just, oops, rip this here. Sorry, I probably should have that camera a wee bit higher. Glue this baby down. Whoopsie. I will worry about cutting off the excess. Oh, what's with this air bubble here? Sometimes that's the advantage of turning your work this way and that, is that you see things that you wouldn't have seen otherwise. Now, of course, in this case, I have to remember that it was not a flat surface to begin with. Because of whatever I had done underneath. Okay. So that is that. Now, I think I had this going upwards, because then the more interesting bits, more of that would be showing, because more than likely these blossoms, the hydrangea, will actually cover the straight edge. And I might pile these up a bit like I have them here. Is that about where I want it though? I don't want it smack dab down the middle, that is for certain. It's not the end of the world. But you know what I think I will do is just make a bit of a pencil line so that it is somewhat straight. I'm gonna do 3 1/4. I can barely see that. 3 1/4. Do a nice light line. And you know, I know that many of you think that this is goofiness, and that's okay. I never said I wasn't goofy. Okay, so I said I would want the frilly side up. So, oh, I'm gonna have to put a patch in if I want it to. Yeah, browser. So we'll secure this side first, and then I'll have to put a patch in at the other end. Sorry. The nerve of me. I actually brought it close enough that I could see what I was doing. Not thinking about what you guys can see. This paper is so thin. You know, a dollar store calendar pad, if you can imagine. The time I don't think that the lights, although they're LED, ever help. You know, I think they always promote the drying of this a lot faster than would happen otherwise. Speaking of not wanting to waste supplies. Again, you know, the line was probably not essential, because if it had a wow in it, if it was crooked, chances are nobody would know because of the hydrangea. And I could even leave it the way it is, even though it's not to the end like these other guys are. I'll see about that, whether or not I want to. I see a wrinkle there. And of course, there's a limit to how much I can press on this because it is thin paper. Okay. Sure seems like the light in here is poor. Maybe that helped a bit. Okay. Now this is going to be a little bit harder now because the surface is wet. And I should probably reach for a bag and just not let this brush get dried up while I'm thinking and positioning and auditioning. I guess I could. Now my impulse, probably because I'm right-handed, is have the taller bit over here and work its way this way. But I need to also look at the paint effects there and think, well, which one do I love more? Maybe I need to go against my normal impulse and do the opposite. How daring am I? And I can certainly cluster this. Mind you, I have to have that sharp edge there. I was going to say I can certainly cluster this in such a way that you know, I don't have to totally fill in this bottom space, although I think this is better. And of course, if I do end up wrapping, if this goes like so, then I would wrap it around the edge. Okay, I think, because I have gazillions of these, let's just glue this first one down. So I'm roughly 1.5 inches from there, and I'm just barely kissing the top of that. Got some kind of fuzz sticking to my finger. I think I must have had this at a bit of an angle. Yeah, so I didn't put enough down here. Or probably over here. I hope I had enough up here. Again, I'm kind of at a disadvantage here in that I can't really see. Now, because I said that I thought that the, it wasn't the greatest artwork ever, I also have the opportunity to add mark making in the final bit of this, after everything is dried. Okay. And obviously I've made the decision to have this in landscape mode, and I chose the heavier band for the bottom because, again, of my belief about visual weight. Now I could do something like that. It would get rid of that sharp line there. Or you know what I could have done? I could have fussy cut around there, but oh well. Yeah, I don't care for how that is meeting that. No, I think it has to be this way. Or if I wanted the flowers to look more like the way they would grow in nature, I could quickly, Bickley, get myself a leaf fragment to work with. Now that would have to be positioned like so. And in fact, let's just glue that guy down, because I think regardless of how I put the flower, I want that sharp line covered. Well, luckily there is no smell vision on YouTube. I am smelling diesel fumes, and I do not like that. Because, when the air gets cold, well, maybe some of you have never been in cold climates, but if you've ever seen in the movies where there is exhaust fumes hanging in the air, that happens at the coldest temperatures. Oh, which reminds me, Elsie, is from North Carolina, and she asked in a relatively recent comment if I would talk more about life on the farm and the weather and so on. She's from North Carolina, so I don't know. I've never been to North Carolina. I would imagine that there is really no snow experience that comes with living there. Now I have an extra clump of flowers to make this even richer looking. I could do that, and I could do that. No, that's too much of a T. Let's glue this guy down. Anyway, so I do talk about my surroundings a bit. The 5 miles from town, small village, 400 people, I've been talking, it seems ad nauseum, about the state of our roads since all this snow started falling. It's a good thing this stuff is clear and matte finish, because honestly, it seems like I've been putting this stuff everywhere but where I need it. And it would be a shame if every brush stroke showed. Like I said, I'll fold that around the edge. So you can see that you can create something that's really quite lovely, or at least I'm assuming it's going to be quite lovely by the time this is over. Just using, you know, a dollar store cradle, wood panel, a strip or part of a design off a dollar store calendar pad, desk pad, acrylic paint, again, craft paint from the dollar store, napkins from the dollar store. This will need a little coaxing to fold and stay. Yeah, until it catches, it would like to spring back up. Okay, now, without having planned it that way, even this is a pretty good composition. In fact, it's probably more interesting. Where's my bag? I guess that in a video of some sort, a mixed media video, I asked you whether you wanted to see some mixed media videos done in a live, you know, craft and chat format as opposed to the taped version. And a number of you said, yes, you would love that. So that's quite a lovely piece of background there. So I could have a space there. What happens if I offset this over here? See, I don't know why, but for some reason I'm not as bothered by that. It's too late to get under there. Let's stand up and size this thing up. Now I would have to use a better leaf than this one. I just had a bit of that. Put this guy here and put just part of a piece over here. And of course, there are opportunities to go back in with, you know, some Payne's Gray or something and darken up those shadows. I don't know what role this guy has to play at this moment. That is... So you see by turning it, now, okay, so if we were looking at this as a real art piece, the light is coming from this direction. That's why the lighter bits of, that's why those blossoms are lighter. The underneath ones are darker because they're in shadow. I could, it seems, almost get away with almost, but not quite. I could just cut around some of this. Let's try to keep the blossoms intact. So we still have the shadows at the bottom. We still have the lighter bit at the top. Still cover up that line. That's obviously not enough there. Just need to disguise it. It doesn't need to totally be covered. We lose. The leaves are kind of important to break some of this up. Okay. I think what I'm going to do is glue this down. In fact, I may just create a new petal here, a more pleasing shape. Maybe get rid of that little bit of green. I could wrap that around. Yeah, let's do that. But maybe in this case I should put the medium on the paper, and then I know it's in the right spot. How did I have it? Was it like so? And I said I would wrap that a bit around. Okay, so I get my wish. I have broken that solid line. I've kept the highlight part of the flower kind of making sense. I have an interesting edge developing right there. And now what? Yeah, I can definitely smell diesel exhaust fumes, and I'm not a happy camper. Now, one of the things that we were always cautioned about in class is to be aware of the negative spaces that a person is creating. You kind of don't want to create a donut hole. And by that I mean, you know, something so regular and regular meaning the shape is so symmetrical, the color underneath. Now, this could potentially be a donut hole if all the color underneath was the same, but because there's some textural difference and some color difference, I can get away with that. Maybe that looks better. I could have a little bit of leaf poking out there. And I need another leaf. Or do I want, maybe I want a bit of flower to go with that. Yeah, that, I don't know why he's left the tractor idling right there, but it, you know, no house is airtight, so see, I can put my leaf in on top. But then that's a weird shape there. But look, I end up with some shadow there. Oh, 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 oh. Honestly, this stupid, this is a plastic tablecloth, and it keeps falling over, and I keep imagining it, that it's either casting a shadow or coming into the picture plane. Okay, back to business. This leaf could maybe come out a bit more. If I reshape this, no one will know that that's not how the leaf really was. Okay, let's glue this leaf down. I like that it doesn't cover up all of the calendar border, but it breaks into it. I hope that's how that was. And, you know, if there's a wee bit of something showing right there, that's going to be okay. Okay, so then See, this can't just float here because, like, what's it's attached to. Unless... But the shape is this way, not this way. Yeah, we need a leaf to ground this. I could make a little slit here. Whoops. So that part goes on top. But I better round this a bit so it looks more like a blossom and less like... See, I made a notch there so that that leaf appears to be coming from underneath. Well, not appears, it is coming from underneath. Yeah, this can round the corner here, round the edge. I think that's good. And I still will have the opportunity, let's put these two guys together. I still will have the opportunity to build up you know, value differences or whatever. Okay, now this should be hanging together. A little bit beyond the edge. And then I'll get the rest from the top. Sorry if my hand is in the way. Gotta press that down so it rounds the corner crisply. Okay, I'm gonna turn this over so I can see what's happening. Get in there nicely so that we don't end up with something that is unstuck and wanting to form an air bubble. Okie dokie. I'm propping it up so I can see it. Kind of hard to tell at this point because there is some glare from the wet parts. I think it is pretty darn good. Much better than the state I had left it in. So, you know my rule. Sit on it. Not literally. Let it be. Study it. Catch unplanned glimpses of it. And see what is needed. And the next time you see this, I will have hopefully figured out. I guess I'm seeing differences in height, but that's also where the paper has doubled up or tripled up and overlapped. So I can almost bet my bottom dollar that there will need to be some darkening of the darks, maybe some cast shadows on these leaves, just to make it look more three-dimensional. And then what happens up here, who knows? Maybe I stamp it with one of those stamps that I said I have. I'm pretty happy with that so far, though. Helps that I love hydrangeas. Anyway, guys, I'm going to stop there. Let me, before I do that, though, whoopsie, show you these other guys. Seems like ages ago, but look how much better that is. And now a person could do anything on top. It's like this one is bowed out. Trying to see if that's the case. Yes, sirree. Definite bow in that one. Anyway, I just love where this is going. I'll be darned if I know what's next, but I love this so much better than the way it was. And I hope you agree. But if you don't, that's okay too. Anyway, guys, we shall see you in the next one. Thanks so much for indulging in this and hopefully hearing the thought process, the pros and cons, I do this rather than this, helps you in some way in your work. Thanks, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.